Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like Elliott's pretty emotional.
Yeah.
He's over there.
Overly emotional.
You've only seen tears twice this week.
That's it? I counted 3.
Welcome to another episode of the Florida Real Estate Life podcast. I'm your host, Peter Pappas. Got Joel Ludlow from Denovo Real Estate.
Hello.
Elliott Grozan, also
Hey,
from
everybody.
Denovo. It's now November 2nd, and that's important because there's only 2 months left in 2023. We're at the end of the quarter, end of the year pretty much, and what we want to talk about today is how it's been an interesting year and an interesting market in general, but especially now, these last few months, we could feel it happening, and now we're in it. Your plane is about to land, and the pilot goes, hey, we can't land just yet. You know, there's nowhere to land, and you're just in that holding pattern, and you're circling and circling. That's kind of where the market is right now.
It's weird.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Elliott?
I don't even know how to describe it. Having talks with everyone in the office. Joel can say the same thing. I know he has a lot of listings right now. Some things you throw up there, new listings, you're getting multiple offers still the first week, and then some you're lucky to get a showing in the first month. And they're not overpriced. Mm-mm. It's real geo-specific, I think, what's selling, even neighborhood-specific. Yeah. And there's no rhyme or reason for it, but we're all just getting through it and bouncing ideas off each other in the office in our office group chat.
Yeah, I was telling Elliott earlier, like, I thought it was just me. Like, none of my listings are selling. And then so I looked at our group chat in our office, and, like, people are like, I'd give my firstborn child to sell some listings right now.
Right.
And then, like, other people were saying the same thing. And I was like, okay, it made me feel better because I was like, it's not just me.
You know, open house traffic is less. Not always. I mean, there's some people that, you know, are holding open houses and still getting, 10 plus parties. But the last one I did, I think 2 people came to, and it was a great house. I happened to get it under contract anyhow that weekend, fortunately. But it was, like Elliott said, it was specific to that area. It was priced perfectly, and it just worked out. But I've had other listings where they've just been sitting and sitting. And just this morning I had a conversation with a seller, and we did a price improvement, another $5K down, and she wasn't thrilled with it, but she knows that that's the market we're in.
Well, it's the only way to refresh your listing,
Right.
Once you get like a couple months on the market, I mean, the only way to refresh it and get it in front of people's eyes is to do a small price reduction. And I was telling Elliott, a lot of my sellers have been great about that, even though I think we're priced well.
Right.
You almost have to do something to get it back out in front of the buyers out there. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing I always do when I go on a listing appointment is I started doing this kind of like after I've had 1 or 2 that didn't go great. I really like focus and ask them why they want to sell and what their goals are. Because now I feel more than ever there's going to be times when you have to remind them of, okay, well, you had told me this is what you want. This is the price you want.
Yeah.
This is when you want to sell. This is why you want to sell. And I've had to have those conversations because it's sitting a little longer. You want to just be a cheerleader for them and say, we're going to do this. But,
It's not fun having those conversations with people. Like, it's a big deal to sell your house, and try to make it as seamless as possible. So it's hard to have those conversations, but you kind of got to remind people, like, we're going to get it done. It's just happens to take time right now. I mean, I know nobody wants to, like, beat the drum of the interest rates, but that has a lot to do with it. And then right now it's seasonal. I mean, the fourth quarter's, I've been doing this for a while, and the fourth quarter's, besides the 2 years of COVID, I mean, it's the slowest quarter of the year. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and that's like something we have to explain to people. And it makes it a little tough because, last couple of years with COVID, like, it changed things, the pattern. So the fourth quarter was way busier than what we expected. So now we have to remind people, well, in a normal real estate world, the fourth quarter is pretty slow. Holidays are tough. People get tunnel vision on that.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a normal market.
Yeah, we're in a normal market. And, I know we're not going to talk about interest rates, but, I mean, those 3-4% interest rates, that wasn't a normal market. And right now at 8%, that's not normal either. But, I mean, if we're at 5-6%, I mean, I think that's close to a normal market.
Agreed.
So, I mean, I'd like for it to get back down to that. But, everybody's like super gun shy right now because I mean, mostly buyers because they don't want to pay a high interest rate. And I get it, but back when it was 2.75, 3.25, like that wasn't normal. That was just that short period of time, you know? So yeah, it's tough right now, but if you're one of my sellers and you're watching this, we're working for you.
Absolutely.
We're working for you.
That's what, more than ever, it's important to pick a realtor with a track record and somebody that
and the big thing right now is communication. Like, you know, you just got to keep your people informed on what's going on and keep them in the know. I mean, if you're not touching base with them at least like once or twice a week, I mean, they're probably going to feel like you're not doing anything for them. But the reality is they don't see what's behind the scenes unless you tell them.
Right.
You know, so I've been trying to communicate. Not more than I normally do, but probably more than I normally do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
are you guys seeing, so in the middle of COVID when interest rates were low, prices were through the roof. I mean, they're still up there now, but people were kind of just selling because they could.
Right.
Are you guys seeing most of the listings now, they need to sell? Has it switched to that?
Most of mine have a variety of reasons, but yeah, it seems, I haven't had anybody recently that just sold because they wanted to sell.
Right.
I mean, and I do remember what you're talking about, and it was like...
It was like the old Zillow make me move prices.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, and we were getting them. Yeah. So
I've had two people sell this year. They had regret, buyer's remorse. So they were...
That they sold?
No, that they bought.
Oh.
During COVID and during the fast and loose time. And fortunately, I wasn't the buyer's agent for them, and you know, so they weren't upset at me. But you know, hey, they did it on their own accord.
It was tough though. It was like a frenzy, you know, and people felt like if I don't get it now, I'm not going to get it.
It was a little silly, and I think I remember Elliott had sent me a stat, something in 2022, something like 60% of buyers had some kind of buyer's remorse.
Yeah,
you know, that's insane.
Yeah, they just felt like they were kind of just muscled into the purchase, like. Hey, they almost felt like they had to win. They were going against 10 other buyers, and that was the win.
And people were doing stuff that we would never advise them to do, like waiving inspections and
appraisals,
waiving up. I was like shocked to see those two things. But yeah, you're right. Like you just said, like people felt like they had to win. You know.
And now we have new challenges. The past few months, appraisals have been coming in a little lower for no rhyme or reason.
Knock on wood. I haven't had those issues. But I've heard a few people say that. So.
But I just got a listing under contract, and in preparation, just in case that happened, I made sure we had it in writing that the buyer will, you know, pay over a certain amount for any appraisal gap. But
so they're still doing it.
They're still doing it. Yeah, they didn't want to, but I said, well, that's the only way. I have to protect my seller.
Yep.
So
I mean, I just showed a property last week. Within 24 hours, they gave the best and final date. They had 4 offers.
Yeah.
Add or over ask. I mean, so it's still out there.
Right.
If you price it right, it's. I mean, people
if
want
you price it right
and
it's the right location for that person, and it's. Yeah, I mean they're still getting them.
What Elliott just said is key. Move in ready.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to say. Condition too. Yep.
Yeah, something they don't have to do anything to. Definitely a newer I've sold 5 new construction homes this year.
Yeah,
because people are just they're like, well, they're giving me a better interest rate. I'm going to get a warranty. Yeah, it's kind of a cookie cutter. It might not be my first choice, but at the same time, it's the best value for my dollar.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Usually they're energy efficient. They have all the deductions where insurance isn't going to be astronomical.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then builders are like somewhat playing ball right now with their prices. So
there's wiggle room.
And I know some of them have like mortgage lenders that will give a little bit better of a rate, so there's that incentive.
So what are you guys telling the clients that they kind of want to sell, but they're like, where do we go? What are you throwing at them now?
Right now, I mean, I've been doing this like in a normal market for years, but when it gets close to the holidays, I tell everybody to wait till January 1st. What I've seen in the past in a normal market is, buyers get tunnel vision for the holidays, and the purchase of a home isn't like their biggest priority right now. So if we list like right now, it might sit November and December, and then come January when people are starting to look again and it picks back up, you're 60 days on the market, and then people are like, what's wrong?
Right.
What's wrong with the house? So for many years, during a normal market, I tell people when we get close to Thanksgiving, let's just wait the 6 or 7 weeks and do something in January.
Do whatever you think you need done now.
Yeah.
Because mid-January, that new inventory just spikes up like crazy.
And the other thing, too, that's nice with the coming soon thing is like, I'm not a huge fan of those, but, I mean, you can do a coming soon, like you can do them for 3 weeks. So, like, end of the first week of December, you can do a coming soon and then hit the market January 1st. So it gives them a little bit of feeling like, hey, we're doing something to get it out there. But that's always been my stance is, like, I've had some good Decembers before, but I think, I don't know about you guys, but for the most part, they haven't been great.
No, it's just it's time with your family, holiday parties.
Yeah, and I get it, and that's important. So that's what a lot of buyers are focused on.
Showings are difficult, too, because a lot of people, when they have family in and out, they don't want to show the property. They don't want to be bothered.
The last 2 weeks of December, basically everything shuts down.
Right.
You guys have kids, and I was never, like, a huge holiday person, but when you have kids, like, it's important to have people over and spend time together. Yeah. So, like, it's almost awkward to say to a seller, like, hey, somebody wants to see your house, and it's like a couple days before Christmas or a couple days after Christmas. So, I think for all parties, like, just waiting a little bit. And I think that, a lot of people get the holidays out of their system, and then they're like, they're looking to the new thing, which could possibly be, okay, let's find that house, So I think that's my opinion anyway.
Speaking of holidays and off topic, if someone does need a lift in December and they have decorations up, what do you tell them?
That's a good question.
I like it.
Yeah. I don't think I've had that issue too many times. Not that it's an issue, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, I don't mind it either.
I don't mind
I see pics with the...
I think what that would do for somebody that wants to buy that house, it'll
imagine.
help them envision, imagine what it could be with them, with their family.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't bother me per se.
And I don't think it would deter any buyer.
If there's like a lot of
religion
those,
or anything, I don't.
But like if there's like 15 of those blow up things in the front yard.
It has to be tasteful.
I'm saying that's what I was saying. Is if it's
so Uncle Eddie with a mannequin saying the shitter's full.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he is one of my favorite characters, but maybe not him.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe not.
He is one of. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Yeah.
But no, I know we're not allowed to have people like in our photos or videos on the MLS anymore. But Steve Brandon did the one where he wore the shark suit, or he had somebody wear the shark suit.
How long ago was this?
This was like 3-4 years ago.
I don't know if I saw
it. And it was like, it sold pretty quick because it was a good house, but I think he got, I don't remember the exact amount, but he got like a ton of traction on social media and like different real estate websites because of it. It was hilarious. They don't let us do that anymore, but I mean, if you have a tastefully decorated house for Halloween or Christmas or something like that, I'm not against it.
Me either.
So we've been talking a lot about sellers. I want to tell you guys something that happened to me the other night, because we also work with buyers too, and they're especially scared. A lot of them are sitting on the sidelines, and I was with a lender, and I heard him say to somebody, "Well, yeah, I just tell people, just buy it, and we'll refinance it in the next year or two, no problem. We're definitely going to do that." And in my mind, I'm like, "Do you know that interest rates are going to go down? You don't?"
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I think that's pretty crazy to like tell people definitively, because we don't know, and I get why they're there. So, but I also don't think it's a bad time to buy if you need to buy a home. Or if you're
I don't think so.
You just have to be smart and buy the home you can afford.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot. I don't have a lot of buyers right now, but the ones I've talked to is I'm like, just crunch the numbers and make sure it's a payment that you're comfortable with. Yeah. And, if it's not, then maybe we got to look at a different price range.
Elliott, you always ask them too, like, are you going to be there for more than 2 years? Yeah. And then
to me, I like to move.
Yeah.
I know some people get there; they want that forever home, but realistically, how long are you going to be in the house?
Right.
Yeah. What's the norm right now? 5 years.
5. It was 7. I think it's down to 5.
I think it's 5.
Yeah.
3 to 5 years. I think is what I read.
Yeah.
Also, like I said, I don't have a lot of buyers right now, but I did get asked a question like a couple times randomly. Is like they're like, so when I turn around to refinance, like, do I have to pay closing costs? And I'm like, yeah. And like I guess a lot of people don't know that, but I know they can roll it in and everything. But it's like you still have closing costs, So I think that scares people as well. Is like they're like, okay, well, if they go down in 3 years and I refinance it, I got to pay closing costs all over again. So, but I was surprised that I had a couple people ask me that, and like I was surprised that they didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, so. Yep, it's fun times.
Talking earlier, we said how sellers are having trouble sell their homes, and because buyers are now a little bit more empowered, they're back to asking for certain improvements. Some of them definitely, should be improved, and then other times they're just, I've had a few people ask for things that I'm just like, why are you asking for this? It's crazy. Mm-hmm. So they're, overly empowered. Maybe, they're ticked off that they've got these high interest rates, so they feel like, all right, well then I'm gonna make sure I beat up the seller, or I'm gonna make sure we get this at much cheaper. And that's just not how it works, and that's why that you have this stalemate.
Yeah, the nice thing for me, like when I work with a buyer in a normal market, like we're back in right now, versus like the frenzy was, like you couldn't ask for anything,
right?
And like for me, like there's safety things that I think the seller should always address.
Yeah.
And like people were having to say, oh, we're going to overlook that because there was 17 offers, So I like that some of those things we're getting back to where they can be addressed, and
especially anything electrical.
Yeah. I mean, like those are always things I feel like if you're a seller, you should do it. I mean, and if you're a buyer, you should be able to ask for it, So I like that aspect of being back in a normal market.
Well, and you're not going to certain things. You're not going to get a clean 4-point, without them being improved.
Well,
and
insurance.
Yeah, and a year ago people were just like, well, we'll just worry about it later. But now forget it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now that insurance went up, it's like,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the market where it is. I like negotiating.
Yeah.
It's back to normal. Yeah, like you said, it's a normal market.
Yeah, I had a buyer where, I think we lost out on 4, maybe 5 houses. Mm-hmm. And then the one that they ended up getting, there was 6 offers on it, like in the first day. And we had to shorten our inspection. And I don't think they had any issues later, but like I didn't feel like the entire time like they had enough time to make a informed decision, Right. So they were moving from the other coast, and it's like, I wanted to give them the extra couple days to have things investigated during the inspection period that we weren't able to get to because, the terms of the seller's counteroffer were, okay, yeah, you can have the house, we'll accept your offer, but you got to shorten the inspection, you got to put a deadline of when the appraisal is going to be in, and things like that. And I don't know, it was just uncomfortable for everybody, So, but like I like to negotiate, I like to play ball. I mean, and I think it. Right now it's like a more even playing field.
It is.
You're at one end when you're talking to whoever you're negotiating with. You say, oh, you try and like tell them it's gonna be a hard sell. I don't know, we'll see. And then when you go to your seller or your buyer and be like, they actually are offering something, pretty fair. So let's think about this.
Yeah.
But you always have to have that like fine line of good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
And that's definitely come back. So I've heard a lot in the past few weeks, few months, really, people saying, well, interest rates may come down next year. And they probably will. How much? Who knows? We don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
But it is an election year. Traditionally, they do come down a bit. And also, the Fed just met yesterday. They didn't raise again. They have 2 meetings in a row. So, I mean, if inflation does, kind of stabilize and there's no reason to keep raising rates, they may start, to stimulate the economy, they may start lowering rates. Mm-hmm. So with that happening, you'll have all these people that are on the sideline rushing to go back into the market to buy. And now you might see a little bit of a return to some of the frenzy and the craziness.
Yeah. The prices will probably go up a little bit.
Right. So that's why when somebody asks me, is right now a good time to buy? Like, yeah, it is. If just we have to find the right house and it has to be the right situation. You have to work with a good lender who's willing to work with you.
But you have less competition right now.
Yeah, you're gonna have less
competition. And like I said before, you have the time to make an informed decision. You know what I mean? Like you're not in a big rush to beat out other offers.
Right.
And you can actually, like I've had people go look at one of my listings, with their buyer's agent, like 2 to 3 times before putting in an offer in. And I think that's smart. And it's nice that they have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And I think too, like if people go and look at it, like it's less issue, you know, they go and look at it multiple times. It's less issues when we're down the road during the inspections and things like that, because they've seen the house multiple times. Like during the frenzy, it was like you would go look at the house and you would be out in 10 minutes and your agent would be running to their computer to write the offer before. Yeah. So, I mean, this market doesn't bother me, you know. I mean, me and Elliott were talking about earlier. Some of my sellers are just getting kind of anxious, you know. So.
But you're a good realtor, and you have those. You're communicating with them. You know, as long as they feel like they're working for them. You know, it'll all work out.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is most of the sellers I'm working with didn't get stuck with a high interest rate, so they're not like sitting on like a huge payment right now that they can't afford. So that's something that is nice to remind people of as well if they're in that situation.
And another good thing is, even though we're past the frenzy, the market's stabilized, people that had buyer's remorse, we're pretty flat overall. They're not losing money.
No.
Right.
If they do have remorse and they're selling now, I mean, a lot of them are still making money.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah.
This area in general for years was very undervalued.
Yeah.
So it caught up very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, probably quicker than anybody would have liked.
Oh my! I remember 5-6 years ago, I'd be showing properties. I'd be like, Beachside house. I'd be like, I mean, if this was in Lauderdale or this would be $2 million. Now I don't use that. I don't say it anymore because we're almost at those prices.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I still get surprised. Like I see some stuff pop up, like on the new listings, and I'm like, wow, I remember when that house was like $300,000. Now they're asking $9.
I know.
You know what I mean? So I'm not for it. I'm not against it. It is what it is. So I don't.
You go with the flow.
I go with the flow.
That's what we have to do.
Go with the flow.
I mean, I feel bad for people that are entry level. They're hardworking families or individuals, and I mean, you got to make some money to buy a property right now.
Yeah.
Right. That's when I might have that conversation with somebody and say, you know, I know certain new construction deals are available right now, and you're going to get a heck of a deal on the interest rate, and you know it's a nice house, so that, and then they see it, and sometimes it's worked out where they're like, yeah, you're right, this is pretty good.
And I've been telling them, I say, listen, if the rate's killing your buying power right now, we can ask for a buy down.
Right.
Yeah. You know, go in at the seller's asking price and just whatever you're going to ask for in a price reduction, let's get them to buy down your rate.
Yeah. And then like you were talking about new construction, like I've always said, like that's typically always the best bang for your buck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're getting like a warranty, and like Elliott said before, is like insurance typically isn't going to be a big issue because everything's new. So I've always told people, I'm like, if you can, go new construction, you know?
Yeah.
So.
The problem with it is for a lot of people is, you know, all the homes look the same.
Yeah, and location.
And so if you go Beachside, I mean, there's some really cool, unique properties.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, because they were older homes, had to gut them or remodel them. And when they remodeled them, they made them unique and different, which is cool. I remember your house, what it looked like and what it looks like now is just beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, and it just, you know, but it took a lot of work. And imagination.
Yep.
You know.
Elliott's very creative.
He is, but I feel like I'm very fortunate that I've always worked with buyers that have what Elliott has, and even I know whenever I bought a place, I look beyond. Like I've seen people go into a house and be like, oh well, you know, I didn't like the paint color. What?
Yeah, it's all about the bones. I mean,
right.
Especially with Beachside, it's like,
I
mean, you can make anything nice as long as you have the vision and it has good bones.
Yeah,
you know?
the location is everything.
The dirt is worth. I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's priceless. But a lot of the houses over there, I mean, the dirt's worth more than the structure. You know, so yep, that's why. I mean, that's why I like it. But I'm glad that you said that there's some unique, cool houses over there, because a lot of people, and I'm not dissing anybody, but a lot of Viera people are like, oh, they're all older houses, and like I like homes with character.
Yeah.
I like older houses. Like our office was built in 1887. I think that's super cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You were talking about new construction cookie cutter houses. That is not my thing at all.
Oh, yeah.
I walk into those houses and I'm like, gosh, I wish I had tall ceilings and
Beautiful.
I wish I had this space. But I walk outside the neighborhood and I look around and I feel like I'm in Pleasantville, you know? So it's like.
Hey, when I was moving here in 2015 from New Jersey, we had a place in Melbourne Beach, still doing the family, and that was where we were moving. Convinced that was it.
Yep.
And because of our kids and the school systems, and we found Viera Builders online. We didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And no regrets either. We ended up buying new in Viera.
Yeah.
And it's just where the kids are now, and that's kind of where I am because of that.
Honestly, though, I mean, the schools are great.
Yeah.
I mean, the location, I don't want to be that far away from the beach, but the location is like, you can get pretty much anywhere in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you have shopping, dining, and so I understand it, It's just not
some people don't care about the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. I mean, Elliott doesn't care about the beach.
No. Care less.
Yeah, I mean, so even there, though, like the other day, I was driving through some streets in Rockledge, and honestly, I'm embarrassed to say I can't remember the name of the street, but there were some really cool, unique homes there, and I was like, man, I've never seen this street before.
Mm-hmm.
Were you east of US 1?
I was off of Rockledge Drive. I can't remember.
So south of Cocoa Village a little bit.
Those are some cool.
So
there's like some Victorians and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, they had the big front porches.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I thought of was these are all wood structures. I'm a little nervous about termites, in Florida.
Right.
But my second thought was I want one. Yeah. That's how cool they are.
You get a nice bungalow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Craftsman.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the front porches.
Yeah, same.
I was telling my wife the other day, I'm like, I love the big wraparound front porches, and a lot of them are where you were talking about. So,
right.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I like unique. I know you do too. So you're the cookie cutter guy.
Well, I live in one.
I'm kidding.
Yes, but
kidding.
I prefer the big front porch.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like sipping a lemonade on a hot summer day on your front porch.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, that's his thing.
Yeah.
Lemonade.
Right?
Kava lemonade.
Kava.
Okay. Yeah, there's still opportunities these next few weeks. It will be a little bit of a challenge. The conversation I had today with my seller was, I know you want to sell. I know you're motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I hesitate to use the word desperate, but I know she's kind of desperate too. And I said if we want to get this under contract and close this year, we have to do a price reduction today. Yeah, that's because in another Thanksgiving's right around the corner.
Yeah, and then I mean, we're not asking for a price reduction to undercut the house.
Right.
It's the way the market is and the world is right now. Is everything's internet driven. So, I mean, if you're priced a certain way for a certain amount of time, it goes to the bottom of the list, and then a lot of these websites, you reduce the price and it moves you up the list.
Right.
So it gets in front of people's faces. So, I mean, we're not asking for a price reduction because we want to sell it for less than what it's worth. We want to get it sold quicker.
Absolutely. Yeah. She'll
so.
do well still.
Yeah.
And she's happy.
Yeah.
I didn't make her do anything she didn't want to do. But
yeah.
That's what we have to do as realtors. We have to be proactive, and we have to try and problem solve. Why is this not selling? All right, well, let's look at everything we've done. Where are we? One thing she just did, though, I think will help it along, is she's going to offer owner financing.
Yeah.
If somebody was to put 20% down, and she'll give them a better rate than
I just had a seller say, "Hey, why don't you throw in there that we're going to offer owner financing and see if anybody wants to bite on that." And I thought it was smart.
Really smart.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought my home a year and a half ago with the owner gave me owner financing. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, on the buy side, closing costs are minimal, right?
Very minimal.
Yeah.
I think I paid like $3,000 in closing costs.
Yeah.
There was an expense for the lawyer
to draft everything
up, which was also minimal.
But still, it's like 30%.
Well, most title companies can do it. Right?
They can, yeah. This owner happened to use a real estate attorney.
Yeah, so if you just use a title company, it'd probably be even cheaper for everybody.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just standard forms that they plug everything in.
Yeah, I think that's the key right now is to get creative. So when he said it to me, I was like, well, one, I didn't know that was an option in his case, and two, I was like, that maybe brings some people in.
Yeah, sure.
Because they can do the owner financing with like a 3-year balloon, and maybe in a year or two the interest rates will go down, and they can get a conventional deal.
Right.
So. Yeah, I thought it was smart.
Yeah.
I thought it's so smart on your seller's part too.
It is, yeah. And again, when we started the process, that wasn't on the table.
Right.
So maybe now going into a listing appointment, I might just ask the question.
Can we do that?
Yeah, is that going to be, we don't have to start with that, but, maybe we can have that conversation on the side with a buyer too.
Yeah. Sprinkle.
I mean, for a buyer, it's, instead of paying for a buy down or, getting a high rate, you can, in our instance, we're going to start at 6% when we offer it to somebody, but even that's negotiable.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could come down a little bit on that too.
Yeah. And then, in a lot of people's eyes, I would think that they would say, well, that's much better than 8.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And then if they get you down to like 5.75 or 5.5, I mean, that's great.
Everybody's still happy.
Yeah.
That person's going to make off a 6% interest rate. They're going to make some good money in a few years.
Yeah, for sure.
So being creative, being communicative to your clients, being proactive.
Yeah.
These are all important traits that we have to have and keep doing.
Yeah.
What else?
I think just keeping calm, I think people get, and I'm surprised that people still compare everything to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like what we were talking about earlier is it wasn't a normal market. So, I think everybody needs to stay calm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end of the world. It's just going to take a little bit longer. Things aren't selling in 24 to 48 hours anymore, and this is a normal market.
Yeah.
So.
And other realtors got to respect your colleagues in the profession.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, some people, they get nasty for no reason.
It
doesn't have to be like that.
This is just business. It's not personal at all.
We all have an end goal.
Yeah.
Whether you work with the seller, the buyer, we all want to sit at that closing table together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I've been saying that for years. It's it doesn't matter what company you work for. We're all supposed to be working together for the same goal, So I've definitely had some times where I wasn't the nicest, but I think overall I'm a pretty fun person to work with.
The best.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah. So
I know people are lining up to do deals with Elliott because he's such a sweetheart.
Gosh. The most handsome realtor in Brevard.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You kidding me? So, one thing that to improve upon that point or add to it is a lot of the people that are not nice never worked before the frenzy.
I know.
So they don't know how to negotiate.
They were order takers.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have to sell.
And they don't.
Yeah, they got a pad and they said, okay, this is how much you want for it. Okay, and then this is how quickly you want to close, and and that was it. It was, and a lot of times, I mean, people weren't even doing professional photos. They were taking a couple of cell phone pictures because that's how fast things were moving.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up.
Thanks.
I had some buyers. They listed a place with me, and then they were looking to, we were going to sell and move into something right away, and we weren't in a rush, and this was back in May, June, and that was to our advantage. So I remember one time we looked at some townhouses beachside, and the realtor, who definitely has never worked before 2019 or 2020, she took such offense to what I said. We offered a full price offer, which was more than fair, and nothing, no tricks, just a full price offer, and that kind of offended her. She goes,
I've heard people do that.
Well, we're gonna have a lot of offers this weekend. So what's your highest and best? I said, well, actually, you got it.
Calling for highest and best before you have multiple offers.
I said you have our highest and best.
It's funny as I had with my customers, they're like, what do you mean they want more? We gave them full price. And I'm like, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
I was like, everybody just wants more right now.
Yeah. But the funny part to me was that, okay, say no. Fine. You're going to hold out.
But they have to present it.
Of course, whatever. But she was angry about it. And so then I said,
how dare you not give me over asking
right.
price?
So I said to her, just a reminder, it's not 2022 anymore.
Right.
Well, long story short, she hit me up again that Sunday afternoon a few times. Said, we got more offers. What's your highest and best? I said, you still got our highest and best. And the next day she picked another offer, and she goes, yeah, didn't pick your offer. I said, I figured. You didn't need to,
Congrats.
Yeah. And then she goes, and just so you know, it was a 2022 type offer. I'm like, okay, good. You got me. It was crazy.
I just don't think that gets you anywhere.
Right.
You know? Like, it could be the other way around
It's gonna
next
get
time.
flip-flop one day.
Yeah.
It's gonna be your listing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then wait.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Or
But the thing is like, I don't think Peter's going to go out of his way to act like that. He's going to do what he needs to do
He's not.
to get the deal done.
Right.
And everybody should think like that, I don't know. I just don't get like snubbing people. It doesn't make any sense to me. So
I had a husband and wife see a listing I have a few weeks ago, and the husband loved it. And he had seen it without her. So the next day he goes, can we see it again? My wife's going to come. She's seeing it, watching it, and he's like the whole time he's watching her, like, looking for facial expressions. He's
Yeah.
like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
it's like a poker player trying to read his opponent. Yeah.
And, she was just stoic the whole time and no expression whatsoever. And we get outside and he's like, what do you think? What do you think? And she's like, I'll tell you when, later. I'm just thinking about everything still.
Yeah.
And he just kept pressing her. And she goes, I don't want to say it in front of the realtor. I said, I won't be offended. She goes, I don't like it. I said, that's okay.
You're allowed to not like it.
You're like, I didn't build it.
Yeah. Even if I owned this property, I wouldn't be offended by
my
that.
blood, sweat, and tears are not involved in this house.
Yeah, this
so
is
you're
just
good.
a business transaction. It's my job to find somebody to.
And it's nice
buy
to
this.
it's honestly it's nice to work with people that look at it like a business transaction.
Yeah.
I mean, not most of the time it's emotional, but sometimes like it's nice to walk in with somebody and they're like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That doesn't bother us.
You're not wasting time.
Yeah, it doesn't bother us.
Yeah.
So
That's
like
why
that.
some agents choose the commercial path.
yeah.
They just want it straight numbers.
Yeah.
It's a business transaction.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the emotional aspect of real estate.
No, I do too. Yeah. But it's nice to have like a buyer that walks in and realizes that they don't like
They're honest.
it. They're honest. Yeah. Honesty. Yes.
And we also can turn it on and off. We're excited for our buyers and sellers, but we also aren't going to let that excitement turn into chaos, which some of the overly emotional people might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Elliott's pretty emotional.
Yeah.
He's overly emotional.
Overly emotional.
You've only seen tears twice this week.
That's it? I counted 3.
What time is it?
I don't know.
Oh, we are at the end of our show.
Are we?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us again,
for
Pete.
joining us.
I think
Yeah.
Elliott did pretty well, and me too, for guys that didn't want to talk.
You guys did great, and thank you for talking and not making me talk for an hour by myself.
That would have been nice.
which I could do. I could probably do that. Yeah,
I think
because I
so.
just love hearing the sound of my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Awesome
it.
job, guys.
Yeah.